Hello and welcome to this week's 10-Minute 2-Tip Tuesday. I'm your host, Amelia Borland, occupational therapist and owner and founder of Higher Standards Caregiver Training. And I am here to give you 2 valuable tips in only 10 minutes. The first is for caregivers and the second is for caregiving organizations. And let me tell you right up front, you're going to want to stay tuned until the very end of this one because I want to share some important things and resources that whether you are a family caregiver or you are a care organization leader, you need to be looking out for. They're going to be coming your way. Real quick, before we get started, this is for educational purposes only. If I say anything that reminds you of someone you know, someone you care for, someone you love, someone you work with, etc., yada, yada, who you think needs to be assessed or addressed by a licensed healthcare provider, then please make sure you are advocating for them to be appropriately assessed and treated by that licensed provider, as this is really and truly for informational and educational purposes only. Okay, we are going to talk today about Thanksgiving. And I realize I'm like a week ahead of that. There's technically another Tuesday, another 10-Minute 2-Tip Tuesday before we have Thanksgiving. But I want to talk about this now because this tip is all about planning. Why is Thanksgiving important for family caregivers? 2 reasons. One, it may have been a while since you last saw your loved ones when you see them at Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving can be a time when you are going to notice things that you may not have known about before, and when you might realize that maybe someone is needing more assistance than they needed before, and you might have to step in and play some sort of role as a family caregiver. The second reason is because for people who are already family caregivers, 1, it can be a really stressful time anyway. But 2, this is a time, again, when you have multiple families, friends, loved ones coming together in one place, and it presents an opportunity to have a discussion about what you and the person you're caring for might need to help get some support. Because let's be honest, it really does take a village. Being a caregiver is not something that you can sustainably do on your own. So I want to talk specifically about how you can plan for that conversation in order to have to be a productive conversation. And what I would suggest is, it can be really hard to just say, I need help, right? Because then the next question is, well, what do you need help with? And then it kind of feels like, well, I'm having to do even more work telling you what to do, right? And that can be really frustrating for everyone. So what I suggest is make a list of all of the things that you do as a caregiver. I know that's probably going to be a really long list, but make that list before you see your family next week, before you see your friends and other loved ones, so that you can really specifically say during that conversation when they're asking, hey, how are you? How are things going with mom or dad or grandpa or whoever it is that you care for? And you can say, hey, you know what? We're doing okay, but we could really use help with a few things. And those things are, so it could be like, maybe you need someone to volunteer to do the grocery shopping for you every week. Maybe someone can step in and pick up prescriptions at the pharmacy. Maybe another person can come and help make sure the laundry gets done. There are so many things that go into daily life and making sure that things get done. It can be really overwhelming as a caregiver. But when we can give people specific jobs, specific things that they're responsible for, that allow them to come in and play that supporting role and offer themselves as help, and again, in a way that feels specific and manageable for everyone, that allows us to get that support we need. And it really helps to make that conversation a lot easier because, again, you're not just saying, I really need help and kind of feeling frustrated. You're saying, I need help with these things. Who can help me with X, Y, and Z? So that is tip number 1 for caregivers, for family caregivers today. If you're looking for more resources, especially about having those kinds of conversations, you should definitely check out the Caregiver's Dilemma podcast episode featuring Danelle LeBlanc at Caregiver Transitions. She has awesome resources related to having these kinds of conversations. Check out that podcast. I will link it at the bottom of this video so you can check it out. And that is a great place. You can go and you can find Danelle and what she has to offer. Again, she's got amazing stuff available for family caregivers. So that is something that you should really know about. Okay, tip number 2 for caregiving organizations. It's Q4, everybody. What's your goal? What are you going to get done? And I say this because Q4 is one of those times when it feels like you can't get anything done, right? There's holiday parties and employee reviews and all of these things that are going on that make it feel like it's really impossible. What I want you to encourage you to do for your tip today is to still pick something to try and get done on your goal list. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a small thing. Maybe it has to do with just setting up your strategic plan for the next year. Maybe it's related to training, whatever it is. Pick something and don't give it up during Q4, because the fact is we still have a lot of year left. That's productive time that you can use to make your business what you want it to be. It doesn't have to be in a big way. It can be in a small way. But it's still time that you have that's available. Part of what I love about December is, sometimes things do slow down a bit. That's a great time for me to be able to think and do strategic planning and really roadmap the next year. If that's what you're planning to do in Q4 is really roadmap for the next year, then you're going to want to keep your heads up. I'm about to do a Higher Standards Caregiver Training and Stat Care are going to be working together to put together a really, really super valuable live event for home care agencies specifically, and talking about revenue. And that's going to be in January. So make sure that you are following me so you can get updates on that. So that if increasing revenue with the clients that you already have as a home care agency, if that's a priority, that's something that you're absolutely going to want to attend, because we're going to be talking about a couple of really specific tools that you can use to do that. Okay, I'm almost done here. I do want to share one more resource before the end to keep your eye on. Higher Standards Caregiver Training and the Whole Care Network, as well as Elder Care Solutions. We are going to be coming together to put something pretty special together in terms of a really incredible resource for family caregivers. So we are actively working on that as we speak. If you're a family caregiver, and frankly, if you're just like a member of the care economy, this is something that you should be paying attention to. So make sure you're following me. Make sure that you are following Whole Care Network. We've got some cool things that are about to happen that you're going to want to know about. Yes, so make sure you're following them. Oh, and Elder Care Solutions too. Make sure you're following us so that you know what's going on with those resources. Okay, guys, that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching today's 10-minute 2-Tip Tuesday. I hope that you are healthy and well, and please, most of all, until next time, y'all, take care. Bye.